rings, running fast and crushing dreams. For who's gonna win the big shiny rings behind the doors they're getting briefed? It's so clear to see. Everything might seem so bright, but you can't be under the lights without being behind the scenes. There's another game being played. It ain't always what it seems. Judges watching up from the thrones. Who's the next king who throw the stones? If you swear on the Bible, then let's settle this on the court. We'll add up the scores and see the reality they distort. Nice try, the ball don't lie. People think it's a fair game, and they actually believe this. Show us what you got. Take the ball and shoot your shot. Give it a try. It's swish or miss. The ball don't lie. When you look at the numbers, something seems off. When you learn to geometry, I can laugh and scoff. Nice try. The ball don't lie. Heroes rise, but really they fall. Because there are big shots making the call. Trophies shine, but it's all for a die. In the game of the all-seeing eye, the ball don't lie. Ball don't lie. The truth is hidden in the stats. What are the odds of that? They cheer and cry for every move, but who's really in control of the groove? Betting odds control the game. Fans believing it's just plain. Truth is hidden in plain sight. There's more going on under the lights. When you look at the numbers, something seems off. When you learn to geometry, I can laugh and scoff. Nice try, the ball don't lie. Heroes rise, but really they fall. Because there are big shots making the call. Trophies shine, but it's all for a die. In the game of the all-seeing eye, the ball don't lie. Ball don't lie. Sports are rigged, they say. The games they play every day, so obvious and it's getting dumber. The truth hides in the numbers. They cheer, they cry for every move, but who's in control of the groove? Puppet strings, yeah they're tight. Swish or miss all through the night. Crowds roll loud in the stands. Cheer for all the hidden hands behind the great display. It's like actors in a play. Contracts read like old scripts. Money talks, makes big flips. Victory so like false gold. Repeated stories retold unfold.
Hello, hello. Welcome back, ballers. Rambo, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear. Hopefully I
All
sound
right.
okay.
That's great.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Just wanted to give everybody a minute or two to chime in as we're on our second live stream. Thank you again, Rambo, as always, for joining us for our second episode of Are You Seeing What I'm Seeing?
Yeah, thanks for having me again.
Absolutely. Very happy to be a part of this weekly gathering. Like we talked about, there's always more to talk about. And you and I had some things we talked about offline, which we're excited to share today for those that are watching. We also have at least one voicemail that we will address on the call-in line that, from what I can see, is on the ticker below. Can you see that too, Rambo?
Yeah, the call-in, like I see the ticker. I see the call-in number. Yeah.
Awesome. So without further ado, we're going to jump right into it, you guys, because we want to keep these types of weekly gatherings short and sweet, to the point. We want to keep this within an hour and 15 minutes max. So I'm going to dive into it, start my presentation here really quick, Rambo. I'm going to go full screen, and I know I can't see myself when I do this, which is okay. But first and foremost, you guys, I am accompanied by the one, the only, the man, the myth, the legend, Rambo, the Truth Codes. You can find him on Patreon. for a measly $5 per month, you guys. So,
and I just want to remind people, there's a Discord, which is part of this tier for $5, so you can share with other members of the community, including videos and screenshots. There are great sports decoders. Matt is a great golf decoder. So, as well as a lot of brilliant people in the community. So Discord would be a good place to exchange ideas.
Yeah, and that's a new feature of yours, right, Rambo? I know that you didn't always have the Discord.
Yeah, I just put it up about 2 weeks ago. It's still a little glitchy. Some people had a hard time getting on. If they're having a hard time getting on, they can just direct message me and I'll send them an invite. I was still familiarizing myself with the platform as well. So I can see it's still gotten started, and a lot of community members have not really engaged in it that much yet. Hopefully the engagement will pick up.
Yeah, I'm sure it will, right? You know, you're in the beginning stages as far as the Discord is concerned. But I'm confident that the vast majority of those that are watching tonight or listening, they're very familiar with your work. But those that are not familiar, you will get to know him on tonight's episode. And this is where you can find him. So make sure to rewind back, look for patreon.com/The Truth Codes. And you will find his tier at $5 a month called the Code Breaker. Is there anything else you wanted to add, Rambo?
Yes, I'm also on Instagram. Instagram primarily promotes what I do on Patreon. You know, Instagram has a shorter attention span. Right. But I'm also on Instagram.
Fantastic.
The Truth Codes. Yeah.
Yeah. So the same writing, The Truth Codes. You can find him on Instagram at The Truth Codes, as well as patreon.com/The Truth Codes. And his information as well is in the description of this video.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. So Rambo, you and I, had an offline conversation about just some very interesting things to share to the viewers tonight. And for me, it started with just kind of the introduction to yourself last week in our first episode, and about how you yourself are a physical twin, and you're also a Gemini, which is the twin, right?
Yep.
And it got me thinking more about just the kind of the primary news headlines that I've been looking at. For example, Cooper Flag, right? And the love themes and the love connections. And this is another shout out to Joey. On my side, I have my winnable page and everything you can find in the description as well. But one thing that Joey really pointed out was, and this is something I never really understood the connection until you and I spoke, was that Cooper Flag here over on the right, he has not only a twin brother whose name is Ace, and that's a whole other conversation, but this is a screenshot of what Joey sent me. And he showed us that he also has an older brother named Hunter. And the reason why that really stands out is because it goes back to this 17-year-old student being stabbed in the heart at track meet, dying in his twin brother's arms story, which I believe was back on February 2nd, I want to say. Or sorry, April 2nd. So it was earlier this month. But what's very interesting about this running theme of Cooper Flag, now we're talking about how he has a twin brother. He also has a brother named Hunter. And in this story that happened earlier this month, where the 17-year-old Carmelo Anthony, the same day that Carmelo Anthony in the NBA was announced as a Hall of Fame inductee, he stabs a student at a track meet, and the victim is being held in his twin brother's arms. Well, sure enough, his twin brother who's holding him, his name is Hunter as well, right? And what I just thought was so eerie about all of this is that story happened, yes, on April 2nd, right, of this year. And sure enough, the following day in Major League Baseball, you have Hunter Brown on the mound for Houston, the Astros, another Texas city, going back to, you know, where the twin brother stabbing took place. But sure enough, he was facing the Twins of all teams in the MLB the day after that twin brother stabbing story. And I'll really leave it with this to hand it off to you, Rambo, because I know you had a lot that you shared with me last night, which is just amazing. Hunter Brown, this pitcher for the Astros, he was born on August 29th, 1998. And if you measure from the date of the twin brothers stabbing story back on April 2nd to his birthday, or from his birthday, it's exactly 216 days apart. Those in the community are very familiar with this number and how it relates to 666, because when you multiply 6 times 6 times 6, you get 216. But in the reverse Sumerian cipher, it was wild for me to see that brothers also equals 666. And in closing, I'll hand this off to you, Rambo. You know, I had to add one more slide in here. You have been talking about Sirius, the dog star, for as long as I can remember. And Sean Desad as well. He's been on that quite a bit. But let's not forget that there was the hero dog of 9/11 when the Twin Towers came down. And the dog's name, of course, was Sirius. So thank you guys for listening to my little opening piece here. Rambo, would you like for me to allow for you to share your screen, or should we keep it here for a moment?
Yeah, I'm not sure I necessarily need a screen share for this, but I would say that Houston, the city of Houston, is coded with the star Sirius. You'll see it in the name of their Major League Baseball team, the Astros, who have a pentagram. A pentagram can symbolize either Venus or Sirius. In ancient Egypt, the goddess associated with the star Sirius is Sopdet, and her symbol was a pentagram. So a pentagram can be a symbol of the star Sirius. And when you see 50 pentagrams on a flag, those are reference to the star Sirius. And we know that because on July 4th, Sirius, Earth, and the sun are in a straight alignment on either side of the sun. That is why July 4th was chosen for the United States Independence Day, because of the alignment with Sirius. Sirius is called the sun behind the sun. It's in a straight alignment. Now, as time moves on, like in 2025, it'll be closer to July 5th. But either way, that's still it's called an opposition. It's called a Sirius. No, I know it's a conjunction, actually. You know, it's a Sun-Sirius conjunction from Earth's perspective. They're in a straight line. That is why July 4th was picked. That is what those pentagrams are. And the reason there's 50 pentagrams is because Sirius is not one star, it's two. Sirius B revolves around Sirius A, and its orbital cycle around Sirius A is 50 years. 50 is directly associated with the star Sirius. Now, and a pentagram is associated with Sirius, so now you have a flag with 50 pentagrams for a country whose Independence Day was chosen because on that day, there is a Sun-Sirius conjunction. And Sirius has been venerated by almost every ancient culture, especially ancient Egypt, and continues to be venerated today, as you can see in those examples. So the city of Houston is coded with Sirius. That's because if you look in Gematria, you spell out Sirius, that's in the ordinal, the simple cipher, Sirius equals 95, and the city of Houston, Texas is on the 95th meridian. Now, 2 years ago, the NCAA men's basketball Final Four, and the final obviously was held in the city of Houston, and they needed to have a Sirius tribute to that. Sirius is known as the Dog Star. You'll see that Sirius Satellite Radio has a dog for its logo with a pentagram on its eye. So that's because Sirius is it's in the constellation of Canis Majoris, which means the great dog. So a dog is a symbol of Sirius. And who was the big dog symbol in college basketball? It was the University of Connecticut, who are the Huskies. That's a dog symbol, and it's a symbol of Sirius in Houston on the 95th meridian. 95 is the gematria value of Sirius, and their baseball team is the Astros. This is all Sirius coding. Now, the people who are given credit for being the first to discover that Sirius was 2 stars, people thought it was just one bright star, that it was actually Sirius A, Sirius B. It's the Dogon people of Mali in West Africa. So Mali is directly connected to the star Sirius because of the Dogon people. And they highly venerated Sirius. They were asked, where did you learn that Sirius and Sirius A, Sirius B were actually 2 stars together? And they say, the Nomo told us. The Nomo, they say, are people who came down from the Sirius star system. That's what they say. So the Dogon of Mali are directly related to Sirius. Most outstanding player of the NCAA Final Four, when it was held 2 years ago in Houston, was from Mali. I believe his name was Adama Sanogo. He was from Mali. Mali is a direct reference to the star Sirius. And very often when you see the star Sirius, you'll see twins, because Canis Majoris it's in conjunction. It's in line with the constellation of Gemini, which is the twins. So very often you'll see stories of twins, as you just showed. Twin symbolism accompanies Sirius symbolism. And you just showed that with the World Trade Center. It's the twin pillars and the dog Sirius. There's an interesting story about the dog Sirius. On September 11th, 2000, Bill Clinton was pictured with that dog, with the dog Sirius. And they took a picture and he autographed the picture for the dog's handler. That was Bill Clinton with the dog Sirius on September 11th, 2000. Now, another place you see Sirius, again, the country of Mali is associated with the star Sirius, and twins was in, this is a year later. You had that dramatic NCAA, no, okay, I'm losing. Well, the year you had the St. Peter's University pulling off the biggest upsets in the history of the NCAA tournament, St. Peter's Peacocks. They had twins in their team.
Yeah, Rambo, yeah, I guess to just clarify, that was the year that the St. Peter's Peacocks on Peacock Day, of all days, upset Purdue, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
And then the following year, which was last year's tournament, not this year's tournament, that's when Purdue made it all the way to the title game. And just to add to what you were saying about Houston and where the Final Four was last year, that was the year of the eclipse. And you, me, and Joey, we all pointed out on March Madness, Selection Sunday, that safe to say all 4 teams were going to be affiliated with the moon in some way. And you mentioned UConn, the Huskies. Another team that was in that Final Four was also the North Carolina State Wolfpack. So you had those Howl at the Moon themes. As far as Purdue, Neil Armstrong went to Purdue. And what was the last team? It's escaping me at the moment. Doesn't really matter, but that's off topic. But anyways, yeah, the Peacocks, that was when they upset Purdue, then for Purdue to have their redemption, tournament the following year.
Yeah, so that year there was a lot of serious symbolism using the country of Mali. There were the the Drame, D-R-A-M-E, Drame twins of St. Peter's pulled off the biggest upset in the history of the NCAA tournament. That's twins and Sirius. Mali's is Sirius. And the eventual winner was a Sirius symbol. It was the Huskies' most outstanding player was Adama Sanogo. Is that his name? I think it's Adama Sanogo. He's from Mali. So I guess the whole turn, and I guess that's because where the Final Four was held in Houston. And so there's we've talked about this. So the celebrity who's a major celebrity, and somebody asks you why is this person so significant? That's Michael Jordan. That is because he was born with the star Sirius rising on the eastern horizon at the time he was born. That's Sirius ascending. Ascending energy is one of the most powerful energies in astrology. In some cases, some people believe that whatever is ascending on the eastern horizon at the time you're born is your zodiac sign. And if there's a planet, it's not, there will not always be a planet transiting or a major star. There'll always be a sign, but if there's a planet transiting on the eastern horizon at the time you're born, and in the case of Michael Jordan, he was born when Sirius was on the eastern horizon. That will affect him, many astrologers believe, more than anything else. Some believe more so even than his sun sign, which is Aquarius, or his, this sidereal, but the rising sign is crucial, and Sirius was rising when Michael Jordan was born. This is why the Chicago Bulls are quoted with Sirius. That's why their anthems, most notably during the dynasty years of the Chicago Bulls, the anthem was Sirius, the song Sirius, the instrumental by the Alan Parsons Project. So the Chicago Bulls are associated with Sirius through Michael Jordan, who was born with Sirius ascending. And where did Adama Sanogo, I don't even know if I'm getting his name right, of UConn, most outstanding player in Houston on the 95th parallel, who drafted him? The Chicago Bulls. That's entirely a Sirius ritual. He was drafted by the Chicago Bulls because of its Sirius symbolism. So when you see a story like this, you're saying where twins keep coming up, it's very often, as in this case, very often it will be quoted with Sirius. And you gave the example of the baseball player. You said he played for the Houston Astros, and they were playing against the Minnesota Twins. So there's your twin symbolism, and Houston represents Sirius. I don't know. I will attempt to share my screen. I've never done it successfully before. Just to show the constellation. So the term hunter, which keeps coming up that you mentioned, that is the moniker for the constellation of Orion. The constellation of Orion is referred to as the hunter. Sometimes they'll connect the dots to make it look like a bow and arrow, or most often he's holding up a club. Orion the hunter. That is what, when you see hunter keeps popping up with twins, that's what it is referring to. Orion is adjacent to Gemini. Orion the hunter is adjacent to Gemini. And right below them is Canis Major, Sirius. So Sirius, Gemini, the twins, and Orion, the hunter, are constellations that are close together. I'll attempt to share my screen.
Yeah, please do. There should be a present button at the bottom.
Present, yeah, okay.
And then from there, you can select which window you would like to share. I will remove my screen. But yeah, I mean, just to add on what Rambo just mentioned, the club symbolism, right? It goes into the symbolism of the bat in baseball, right? With the example that we were just talking about.
Can you see my screen?
I cannot yet.
You can't. I pressed. I did all the prompts. Okay, so it didn't work. But I just wanted to show the constellations.
So yeah, I guess if anything, Rambo, what I'll do is I can kind of, let me see here really quick.
Yeah, just type in Gemini, Orion, Sirius in Google, and then images.
Oh, you know what? Hold on, Rambo. I think I just saw you.
Oh yeah, it flashed by.
Is this you right here? This should be you.
Oh yeah, that looks like my screen.
Yes.
Uh,
You have the screen, Rambo.
okay, I'll have to go back to this. Oh, can you see that?
No, I cannot. It looks like you selected this particular window when StreamYard asked you about what to share. So this is the defaulted window.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, all right. I'll smooth that out.
No worries. So yeah, let me just get. What did you want me to search? I'm sorry. One more time.
Gemini, Orion, Sirius, and then go to images, and you'll see how they're located close to each other.
Okay. All right. A second. Share my screen.
Yeah, you can read it. A Gemini, Orion, and Sirius are celestial objects often discussed together because they are visible in the winter night sky and are part of constellations that form the winter triangle and the winter hexagon asterisms. Gemini and Orion are constellations, while Sirius is the brightest star in the night sky, located in the constellation Canis Major. So yeah, they even mentioned they're mentioned together.
Right. Which image here? Was it one of these three?
No, look at well, the first one. I don't see Orion though. Yeah, so you can see on that one. Look at near the bottom. You see Canis Major, and you'll see Orion to the bottom. You'll see to the left and to the right. You'll see Canis Major, and then to the right it's Orion. On the bottom.
I apologize. I thought I was sharing this whole screen. Oh, you know what? It's my fault. Hold on. I'm just trying to make it larger for folks. Hold on. My apologies. I'm new to this as well, Rambo, so don't feel bad. Here we go.
Yeah, so yeah, look at the bottom of the image.
Yeah.
You can scroll to the bottom. There you'll see Canis Major and Orion at the bottom. And Orion is the hunter. Canis Major is the big dog. The star Sirius is a little bit lower. And then if you scroll to the top, you'll see Gemini. You can get another image because that's kind of cutting off. Sirius is below. That kind of cuts it off.
Okay.
At least you get the idea of why.
Right.
You'll see Hunter. Or you can type in Orion the Hunter as well, just to clarify. See Orion the Hunter. So this tells you why you see a picture named Hunter from Houston, which is a reference to Sirius playing against the twins, and somebody with twins and a brother named Hunter. That's why you're seeing twins. Sirius, the Sirius references are more occulted, but you're seeing twins and Hunter, especially up front. This is what it's referring to.
And that's why, like you were saying, Michael Jordan has been so relevant this year with the upside down plane crash happening on his birthday, those Chicago Bulls banners burning in his own arena, right? Back on March 8th. It all goes back to Sirius, right?
Yeah, that's why he's so significant.
Yeah.
And Sirius is still venerated today, as you can see. As I mentioned, this is why United States Independence Day is what it was. That was an agreement between Great Britain and the United States. Didn't pick that on their own. I've shown many examples how the royal family venerates Sirius, the dog star, especially with Queen Elizabeth and her corgis, the royal corgis. Yeah, those are all Sirius symbols now.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm just going to take a look at the chat here really quick. Looks like we've had a little engagement back and forth with some viewers. Visionary Vet, how are you? I'll just use this as a reminder, please, you guys, please like and subscribe, share where you see fit. Make sure to follow Rambo and the Truth Codes. Any support you provide any of us is always appreciated. Our details are in the description. Samantha Hambright says job 99, which maketh Arcturus, Orion, and Pleiades in the chambers of the south. Dr. Savage says, we just had a guy start at my work with the name Hunter Human. Human, huh? That's an interesting last name. Visionary Vet has a question. They're asking, why are stars following Comet Atlas, which is also known as Jacob's star? Do you have any 2 cents on that? Because I don't know out of my realm.
It's just stars are following Atlas.
He said, why are stars, or Visionary Vet says, why are stars following Comet Atlas, which is also known as Jacob's star?
I don't know. I have to put some thought into that one.
Understood.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Yeah.
BPM says, reminds me of former Astro Hunter Pence, like Pence or the 5-pointed star. K-Cat says, love the old school Marlins hat. What's funny is it actually says, fish fear me. I'm a Pisces, so I thought this is a fitting night for me to wear this particular hat, talking about the zodiacs. Michelle Ochner says, Rambo, there are Silver Gate rituals, right? Can you talk? Oh, I just lost it. Michelle Ochner said, Rambo, these are all Silver Gate rituals, right? Can you talk about the Silver Gate?
The Silver Gate is the metaphorical portal between the spirit world, also known as the outer darkness, into the material plane. That's a metaphor. So when your spirit comes into the material plane to animate a flesh and blood avatar, it is said to be entering through the Silver Gate. The opposite of that would be the Golden Gate, also known as the Gate of Immortality, which is the portal from the material plane to the spirit plane. And there are 3 zodiac signs associated with the Silver Gate, 3 associated with the Golden Gate, which are opposites. So the 3 Silver Gate signs are Taurus, Gemini, and Cancer. And then opposite Taurus is Scorpio, opposite Gemini is Sagittarius, then opposite Cancer is Capricorn. In fact, Michael Jordan did a Silver Gate Golden Gate ritual. You know, in the Vatican has the keys of heaven. It's a crisscrossed golden key and silver key. Those are keys to what? The Silver Gate and the Golden Gate. That's those crossed keys are the Vatican. Also called I guess St. Peter is also depicted holding them. That's what it is. It's a Silver Gate, Golden Gate. So I think St. Peter more likely would be Gemini Sagittarius, because St. Peter's cross is the upside down cross, which is the mutable cross, which includes Gemini and Sagittarius. Michael Jordan, his ritual, when he retired from the first time he retired from basketball and played baseball, he played for a minor league affiliate of the Chicago White Sox in Arizona called the Scorpions. That's a reference to Scorpio, the Golden Gate. He played for the Bulls, which is a symbol of Taurus, which is the Silver Gate. So Michael Jordan playing for the Scorpions was the Bull playing for Scorpions. Yeah, that was a Silver Gate, Golden Gate Taurus, Scorpio significance. And again, you see that in the papal keys. What else also do you see in the Vatican? You see the twin peacocks and the pine cone. But yeah, so Silvergate is a reference in general to manifesting something on Earth from the spirit plane. And very often, metaphorically, the portal will be twin pillars, as seen on the High Priestess card. So if there's any card in the tarot that represents this Silvergate more than anything, it is the High Priestess, which is very Cancer oriented, very watery. Cancer is a water sign. Water, hydrogen is the particle without which there is no life. They say after this was scientists, official science says when the Big Bang occurred, the very first element particle that was formed was hydrogen. So hydrogen is and water are associated with birth into, think of water breaking, amniotic fluid of the womb. And water is a very feminine element. So Cancer is a water sign, also associated with the Silvergate. And that's what the High Priestess is. That's the Silvergate. There's another one also in Field of Dreams. That's a major Silvergate ritual, Field of Dreams. So what is happening in Field of Dreams? The souls of passed away baseball players were manifesting back on Earth into material form. And where were they manifesting through? The Silvergate there was the cornfield. Everybody's familiar with Field of Dreams. So these past, and funnily enough, it's the White Sox. They were White Sox players. Who did Michael Jordan play for? He played for the minor league affiliates of the Chicago White Sox. So you said the Michael Jordan is the middle of everything. The cornfield was the Silvergate, and you had that famous Yankees White Sox Major League Baseball game that reenacted Field of Dreams. They were reenacting manifestation from the spirit world into the material world, and that was a Silvergate. Now there's a species of corn called Silver Queen corn. Who's the Silver Queen? The Silver Queen is the High Priestess. Very watery card with a moon. The corn is called Silver Queen corn. I did a decode on that about 3-4 years ago. Silver Queen corn, typically each ear is 8 to 9 inches, and each stalk is 8 to 9 feet. The score of the Field of Dreams game, where they reenacted the White Sox and the Yankees, was 8 to 9. That was a direct reference to Silver Queen corn, the cornfield being the Silvergate. That was all coded into that game. So, yeah, that's what I'd say about the Silvergate. I'm sure there's so many Silvergate rituals, but it's about manifesting something from the spirit plane into the material plane, and it is opposite the Golden Gate. And so that's the reason you see twin pillars. Gemini is a Silvergate sign.
So simply put, right, I like to dumb things down as simply as possible. The Silvergate essentially is our entrance from the spiritual plane to the material.
That's the portal through which, yeah.
Right. And then the Golden Gate is when we leave essentially the material plane back into the spiritual plane.
Yeah, it's also called the gateway of immortality or the gateway of God. And the Silvergate is the gateway of man. And again, the papal keys, very, very significant symbol, the papal keys. What keys are these? It's a silver key and a golden key. Those are keys to, you call them the keys of heaven. St. Peter's holding them. So it's a very significant symbol, and that's what Michael Jordan was representing. Michael Jordan is central to like so much that goes on.
Well,
yeah.
I was going to say, just like how Kobe is so relevant today and how them two are just have always been so connected to each other throughout their careers. I had no idea that he played for a Scottsdale minor league team. When I think of Michael Jordan in baseball, I just think of him playing for the Barons, you know? So
Well, he had to play for the Scorpions for ritual reasons.
right.
This is why, yeah.
No, and it makes sense. And to me, I've been saying I can't escape the love connection. And I say that because Arizona, the state itself, was founded on Valentine's Day, right? And it goes back to Caleb Love, who played for the University of Arizona during March Madness tournament this year. He transferred from none other than North Carolina, where Michael Jordan's from. You have the death of Mia Love. I've done some videos on that, but I had no idea Michael Jordan actually played baseball in Arizona. So that's amazing.
Yeah, well, that's an answer to the Silver Gate. But so you'll see on the High Priestess card. You can bring up a High Priestess card if you want.
Yeah, let's do that.
It's the Bulls. The Bulls is Taurus. Taurus is the Silver Gate. And you'll see a crescent moon, which is also like horns. A crescent moon is like horns. Sometimes you'll see a horn symbolism, like a bull, like the horns of a bull. That's also a crescent moon. So a bull is a very much part of the symbolism that you'll see in the High Priestess, that's what that is. That's the the Silver Gate, which is also I'd also say it's a portal. So this is a lower dimensional, relatively speaking. The material realm, the material world where you manifest into it's just a lower realm than where you come from, the spirit plane. It's a lower level. It's 3-dimensional. The spirit plane is multi-dimensional. That is reflected in the High Priestess card. You'll see there's some pomegranates behind her, but they're not actual pomegranates. It actually looks like a tapestry. So it's actually a 2-dimensional representation of pomegranates. Why didn't they just have a depiction of pomegranate trees? That's very significant. That's a tapestry because that tells you it's a 2-dimensional representation of pomegranates that are behind her. It's a tapestry hanging. It aren't actual pomegranates. Where do you find the actual pomegranates? In the realm they came from, in that multi-dimensional realm. This is telling you that Earth is a limited dimensional realm. It's a simulation of a higher dimensional realm. That's symbolized in that card. So, yeah, I've spoken at length on the High Priestess. This is how decodes go. Like, I started trying to do honestly, you wouldn't believe it. I tried to do a 6-7 minute video, and that's how it starts out. It ends up being a half-hour video.
Right.
And I can see how, someone just mentioned Silver Gate and I can just keep expanding, but that's something, it's a very significant part of that card that should not be overlooked is the pomegranates in the back. They're not actual pomegranates. They are 2-dimensional tapestry representations. And what that is telling you.
That is fantastic, Rambo. Yeah, thank you very much for sharing that. And to your point, there's always more, and I'm going to always do my best to keep things within that hour time frame as much as possible. What I would like to do maybe is open up the line that has been on the ticker. I appreciate you guys giving us our time to share what we have for this week. But what I would like to do to start, as far as the phone calls go, we do have one voicemail for this week. It is directed to you, Rambo, so I would love to play it for the viewers and go from there, and then maybe just take a couple of calls if we receive any, based off of what we had to share or anything else that's been transpiring. So without further ado, let me, hopefully this will play. All right, here we go.
Hi, AJ. Hi, Rambo. This is Mandy from California. I just wanted to say I'm so happy that you two are collaborating together. I'm pretty excited. I think that's awesome. I just love that you both have a really humble and kind spirit to you, and that you guys are collaborating. That it's not a competition, but it's like how do we grow together? And that's rare to see, and it's just so inspiring. And I woke up about 5 years ago, and there were things that were happening, but then I was like, okay, how do I put this all together? And I still haven't put it all together, but, I just remember praying, like, God, I don't want to lose you, but I really want to know what the truth of the reality of this world is. Like, I'm so, like, things aren't adding up, things aren't making sense, and these are some things I want to figure out, but I don't want to lose you. And I just had that, like, still small voice, like, inside me, just like giving me permission and, like, saying, you know, I felt like that sense of, I heard, like, inside my soul, like, I have faith that you'll figure it out. And so that really helped me go forward, because, yeah, you know how it is when no one else in your life can see it. Or I don't know if you guys have that experience, but, my question for Rambo is there anything that you would say, that you would share or encourage that, like, helped you grow? I was talking to Rambo via email a few years back, and I had a really cool experience with Rambo where I could actually, I knew when he emailed me, and I was, oh my gosh, Rambo just emailed me, and I checked my phone and he just emailed me. And so it was really cool to have that connection. And I just want to grow spiritually, because I think, you know, we're all connected. And I think there's so much we don't understand about who we are and what we, you know, how we're extensions of God. You know, we're not God, but we're, you know, he created us, and we're, you know how, I don't even know how to explain it, but so I just wanted to share that. And if you had any thoughts, Rambo, about how to keep growing spiritually, or what might be helpful, or meditation or anything, I'd love to hear it. All right. Thank you. You guys take care. Bye.
So that was Mandy from Redlands.
Yeah, I've communicated with her often on by email, and I thank her for those words. I'm grateful that I can have that kind of impact on someone. And ultimately, she talked about meditation. Absolutely, daily meditation. Absolutely. So this is the thing. So it's kind of ironic that we're not God. Well, actually, that's not what Jesus said. If you look at the Bible, John, I believe, is it John chapter 10, verse 34? So a mob was going to lynch Jesus because he said he was the Son of God. And they said that's blasphemy. And then what Jesus said is, he said the law, which is the scripture, which is the Old Testament. He said, wait, basically he was saying, is it not written in the law? I said, ye are gods. He told the lynch mob, no, the scripture says you are gods. And they actually went and looked it up. It's a verse in Psalms where it did say you are gods. Jesus actually said you are gods. And he said to a lynch mob who tried to lynch him for blasphemy because he said he was the Son of God. He said, well, no, you are too. So it's a very interesting verse. Actually, it might be my favorite Bible verse. You know, Genesis 3:22. What does God, quote unquote, of the Garden of Eden say after they bit the fruit? He's talking about pomegranates. Now man has become as one of us. So where do you go when you want to find God? There's another line. Okay, I don't know the Bible verse, but Jesus says, they ask him, where is the kingdom of heaven? People think of the kingdom of heaven as somewhere external where you go to after you're rewarded. Where God dwells, it's outside of you, a place you go to, maybe in spirit, you go there. No, that's not what Jesus said. Jesus said the kingdom of heaven is within you. This is the reason why meditation is so important. And it doesn't have to be, because that's where you go to find the kingdom of heaven. And I'm not even being all new agey. I'm using the Bible. And I know some people will dispute those interpretations. I like the work of Pastor BalllDontLie. A lot of people are familiar with him. He likes to incorporate a lot of these. He likes to show how these a lot of these spiritual elements that are associated mostly with the Eastern traditions. I guess the West calls some of them New Agey, but I guess New Age movement is something else. These are Old Age. These are, from the Vedic Eastern traditions and also ancient Egyptian traditions. Is to go inward. You go inward. In fact, that verse where Jesus says the kingdom of heaven is within you, even before the Bible was written, it's that sentiment is associated with the god Thoth, who's also known as Tehuti or Jehuti. He was quoted that, and there's some papyrus where they associate that very sentiment of the kingdom of heaven is within you with Thoth. That's long before. So it's a central element. You go inward, and it sounds like Mandy's. She does have the idea that you do have some of the answers. It's not an easy journey. It's basically a journey of self-discovery that we are on. I'm very thankful that, and I feel rewarded that somebody feels that I've inspired them in some way on their journey. I don't have the answers. I'm looking for answers. It's not an easy journey. I can kind of hear it in her voice. And it's not an easy journey. It's not easy for me. I've documented some of the stuff going on with me. And when you're on that path, it doesn't necessarily have to be, some excruciating path, but in general, if you're going to make, some people call it a shift into a higher dimension or self-discovery, just an elevation of consciousness, it's not something that's easy. So as far as meditation goes, I mean, I would just say not to be, people are frustrated, like you can't shut your mind down. It's impossible. You have things you have to do. You have concerns. Sometimes you have immediate survival issues that have to be addressed. It's not an easy thing to quiet the mind, but to start with, the intention is what's important. Yeah, you daydreamed or you fantasized or you're just concerned with immediate, 3D, flesh and blood concerns, money concerns, survival concerns. Nonetheless, if you can find time daily, you can just look up things like the various forms of meditation you can look up. You have to go inward. And I think a lot of meditation is recommended in the Bible. They just don't use the word meditation. They usually say prayer. But they say the difference between prayer and meditation is prayer is talking to God. Meditation is listening to God. So yeah, so I would say that, like, I'm thank you to Maddie for sharing, and yeah, I'm thankful for the positive feedback, and it's very fulfilling to feel that I helped someone that way. And I would definitely recommend meditation. And on the path of self-discovery, hopefully we all get there. But when you do discover the self, this is not the 3D self. Again, we're going back to the high priestess. This is the material plane she's in. Those pomegranates are 2-dimensional. There's a reason they're doing that. They very easily could have put pomegranate trees in the background, but they didn't. They put a tapestry rather than real pomegranates. They are telling you about this dimension, what you see in the flesh. It's temporary, and your soul will exit. You call it the Golden Gate, but that soul that leaves and enters, that's the real you that you have to discover. And yeah, I'd leave it at that. And yeah, very much thank Mandy for her kind words and her contribution.
Yes, yeah, I really appreciate the voicemail as well, Mandy. That is an open invitation for anybody that's watching or listening that would like to call in. We have about 7 to 10 minutes left. Once again, we're trying to keep this within an hour time frame, but the line is open if you guys would like to call. It is on the ticker below. But yeah, I've just been looking at some of the comments in the chat. Thank you, Adam the Illusion, for chiming in. We all obviously have our own interpretations of the Bible and what it means. I did write down, Rambo, I thought that was so well said, that prayer is more talking to God and meditation is more about the listening side of it. And I think that's very important when it comes to just our own daily conversations with folks, right? Myself included. I'm working on that as much as I can. That it's not about as much as what you say, but also you got to take in and listen. And me personally, I have a real big challenge with turning my brain off and just not thinking about anything and sitting in that silence, if you will, with God. It's challenging.
Yeah, shutting your mind off completely is different, and that can frustrate people. but you shouldn't be frustrated. And you start off with the important thing is the intention. It's what you're intending to do. Your whole intention is you're going inward, and when you go inward, you're going to the higher dimensional plane. Not again, the card says it all. You want to have a perspective. This, put the material plane in perspective, and that's where you want to go. And if that's your intention, that's the intention is the most important thing when you start. But eventually, you should be able to, even for a few minutes, quiet the mind, and some things will come to you. Answers will come to you. At the end of the day, I'd say people should trust their own instincts on things and their own experiences. Like you said, people interpret things differently. Absolutely. Trust your own instincts at the end of the day.
Right.
If you see a speaker or someone with a good reputation, whatever, see what resonates to you. It's only part of what they say resonates you. Only 10% resonates with you of what they say. Take the 10% and reject the rest. If they don't resonate with you at all, then fine. I'll be at the end of the day. That's where the meditation comes in. Your inner, when you go to that quiet inner place that above this 3D, the answer should come to you. And it takes discipline. Eventually, I would just recommend highly meditation. Absolutely, and just trust yourself. At the end of the day, trust yourself. Don't trust what some great guru said. Don't necessarily go with what I say.
Right.
Just be honest. Yeah.
Yeah, I do see the illusion. He asked in the comments. By the way, Adam, we got a little bit of time. If you want to call in, we can have a quick chat. Adam, the illusion, he's asking, what happens when we die? But we all broken sinners, so should we place complete trust in ourselves or a perfect God who has never sinned?
And again, so this goes, like I said, each individual will decide what resonates with them. And if a particular religion resonates with you, then yeah, I wouldn't say listen to someone else, and I wouldn't discourage someone. If something resonates with them, I'm not going to tell them not to believe that. I don't even claim to have the answers. So, I mean, if that's what resonates with them, then I respect that. That's not what resonates with everybody. I personally believe in reincarnation. I don't believe one and done. So if a child is born, just say a child dies at 2 years old or something, or one child dies at 5 years old, or one and done and it's over, that doesn't resonate with me. Just one life and that's all. I think that also puts a heavy emphasis on the material plane if you only have one life, because then that makes this material plane the be all end all. Whatever you do here is the be all end all. And I think that gives the material plane more power and substance than it actually has. But again, people will decide what resonates with them, and I'm not going to tell someone what to believe. I can put stuff out there, and like I said, you can take a percentage of that and reject it. You can reject all of it. Like I respect atheists, because what do atheists believe? Atheists believe in what's provable and palpable. I respect that. There's no proof. I can't give proof as to what happened before we came here and what happens after. I can't give proof. I go by what resonates, what makes the most sense to me. But I respect an atheist. I respect that point of view because they go with what's provable. It doesn't make sense to me that everything ends once you die. But I perfectly understand why somebody would be an atheist. Absolutely. And I'm not going to try to talk them out of it either.
Yeah, I mean, there's obviously polar opposite sides of the spectrum. Some people are in the middle. A lot of people don't know. We're not acting like we know either, right? It's just about sharing our observations and how we feel about whatever this is that we're living through, right?
I don't claim to have the answers. I'm just exploring.
If anything, what I can appreciate about you, Rambo, is just that you've truly taught me that, hey, if you just kind of lean into the stuff that's being hidden in plain sight, truth truly is stranger than fiction, right? It's just mind blowing, the connections and the symbolism and the web, if you will, that we see ourselves in more and more. And it's just mind blowing how many people will look at it and brush it off as coincidence. But yeah, Adam, the illusion, he says, you want me to call? Let me know. Absolutely. The line is open.
I think it's 11 o'clock now. Not that I don't mind having a conversation.
It is, but yes, you're right. So this would
I can see. This is the thing. I do look forward to a conversation like that, but this is the end of the hour.
Yes, it is. You're right. You're right.
We can start. We can start earlier. We can actually start with Adam next week.
Yeah. Let's do that. Let's do that. We'll do that. I like that.
Yeah.
So to close it out, you guys, thank you again so much. Really appreciate that. Rambo, thank you again for your time. Appreciate it as always. Thank you for the insight.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Really appreciate it. I will just close by saying thank you all that have been watching, subscribing, signing up to Rambo's page, signing up to my content in the description. This is a standing 1 hour get together for everybody. So please make sure to utilize the phone number, you guys. I'm keeping it open throughout the week. There's a very strong chance I will not be answering the call. However, please leave a voicemail. Please send a text to the number. That way Rambo and I can, bring those up for next week's conversation. As we know, there might be huge news that breaks tomorrow, and that might be the topic. We never know, but that's what's so exciting about what we're living through. I've learned a ton from you today, Rambo. Thank you so much for just your additions. My biggest takeaway was the Silver Gate and the Gold Gate connections, John 10:34, and the difference between prayer and meditation. That was my biggest takeaway. So I really appreciate that.
Yeah, thanks.
Absolutely. So without further ado, we will close it out. Thanks again, everybody. Hit the like and the share on the way out, and we will see you guys next week.
Take care.
Take care, folks.